And if you could say a few words.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, Mr. President, Donald, this is really big. This is really big. You called me on Thursday that you had taken a decision. And the decision is that you want Ukraine, what it needs to have, to maintain, to be able to defend itself against Russia, but you don't want the Europeans to pay for it, which is totally logical. And this is building on the tremendous success of the NATO summit, the 5%, but also the decision to keep Ukraine strong and the decision to increase our defense industrial production. So based on that, that was Europe stepping up. This is again, Europeans stepping up. So I've been in contact with many countries. I can tell you that at this moment, Germany massively, but also Finland and Denmark and Sweden and Norway, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Canada. They all want to be part of this. And this is only the first wave. There will be more. So what we will do is work through the NATO systems to make sure that we know what Ukrainians need, so that we can make packages. Of course, in a way, we discussed it this morning with Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, in a way that, of course, the US will keep on its stockpiles necessary to defend this country. That's absolutely clear. But it will mean that Ukraine can get its hands on really massive numbers of military equipment, both for air defense, but also missiles, ammunition, etc., etc. So if I was Vladimir Putin today and hear you speaking about what you were planning to do in 50 days and this announcement, I would reconsider whether I should not take negotiations about Ukraine more seriously than I was doing at the moment if I was Vladimir Putin. But when I'm Ukraine, I think this is really great news for them. So I really want to thank you for that. And it means Europeans paying for it. And again, I mentioned all these countries. We will deal with that. And exactly as you said, it might also mean that countries will move equipment fast into Ukraine and then the US later backfilling it because speed is of the essence here. So really, thank you. This is important.
You did a great job. It's a really great job.
You go over this news to Putin, sir.
Say?
How did you tell Putin this was coming?
I speak to him a lot about getting this thing done. And I always hang up and say, well, that was a nice phone call. And then missiles are launched into Kiev or some other city. And I said, it's strange. And after that happens 3 or 4 times, you say, the talk doesn't mean anything. My conversations with him are always very pleasant. I say, isn't that a very lovely conversation? And then the missiles go off that night. I go home, I tell the First Lady, I spoke to Vladimir today. We had a wonderful conversation. She said, oh, really? Another city was just hit. So it's like, look, he's, I don't want to say he's an assassin, but he's a tough guy. It's been proven over the years. He's fooled a lot of people. He fooled Bush. He fooled a lot of people. He fooled Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden. He didn't fool me. But what I do say is that, at a certain point, ultimately talk doesn't talk. It's got to be action. It's got to be results. And I hope he does it. It's potentially such a great country to be wasting so many people on this and the money. And look at what's happened to his economy. Look at what's happened. So,
and with the threat in 50 days,
yeah,
the economy will be hit very hard.
I mean, look, I hope he's going to do it. He knows the deal. He knows what a fair deal is. If there is such a thing as a fair deal, there's no winners here. This is a loser. This is a loser. And I dealt with him from the beginning. It wouldn't have happened, but I will say Ukraine was the apple of his eye. We talk about it. It was the apple of his eye, but it wasn't going to happen. And he understood that. It wasn't going to happen. And then I noticed, after I was out, soldiers forming at the border.
Yeah.
And then I heard horrible, stupid things being said from the other side. And I said, they're really handling it very, very wrong. It's a shame. Yeah.
In a move that has sparked headlines around the world, President Donald Trump has once again shifted the global conversation, this time by making NATO significantly more powerful. Speaking at a high-profile political rally and in recent interviews, Trump sent a clear message. Under his influence or future leadership, NATO would no longer be seen as weak or passive, but as a stronger, more forceful alliance. The statement came amid rising global tensions, especially with Russia's continued aggression in Ukraine, growing threats from Iran, and China's expanding military influence in the Indo-Pacific. Trump, who has previously criticized NATO allies for not meeting their defense spending commitments, appeared to change tone. He emphasized accountability, strength, and modernization, urging all NATO member nations to finally pay their fair share, and warning of serious consequences for those who don't. This rhetoric had an immediate effect. Several European nations announced increased defense budgets and accelerated military modernization efforts. Reports from Brussels suggest that Trump's strong stance has reinvigorated discussions about NATO's future direction, including the development of a rapid response force and joint military drills that are far more aggressive and united than before. Critics argue that Trump's influence is more fear-based than cooperative. They claim that many NATO nations are responding out of concern that Trump may withdraw U.S. support if he returns to office in 2025. But others say his approach, blunt as it may be, is producing real results. Unlike traditional diplomatic nudges, Trump's tough talk has jolted member countries into action. By reinforcing the idea that NATO must act decisively and independently, Trump has indirectly helped reshape the alliance into a more agile, well-funded, and capable force. Whether he intended to or not, the effect of his words has been to breathe new life into NATO's military readiness and cohesion. As a result, NATO is emerging from years of complacency with a clearer mission and a renewed sense of purpose. It's now preparing not just for defense, but for deterrence, ready to counter threats from Russia, cyber warfare, and global terrorism with greater force and coordination. Trump may not be in the White House now, but his influence on NATO's strength and future has become undeniable.